That was for fans who complain there have been too many happy endings on Noir Alley. And despite earning uniformly good reviews, word of mouth about the downer ending kept The People Against O'Hara from being Spencer Tracy's fourth straight box office bonanza. But Tracy didn't mind. He'd found a comrade in John Sturges, who'd soon direct him in a couple of rugged, suspenseful outdoor adventures, Bad Day at Black Rock and The Old Man and the Sea, both of which earned Tracy Oscar nominations as Best Actor. Now, although the picture wasn't as successful as MGM had hoped, it was definitely another step up the ladder for Sturges, who'd graduated to the director's chair from the same editing rooms at RKO that produced his colleagues Robert Wise and Mark Robeson. Sturges also learned a lot about the business as production assistant to David O. Selznick. During the war, he was a captain in the Air Corps, directing and editing training films, including the critically acclaimed documentary Thunderbolt, co-directed and edited with William Wyler. Post-war, Sturges went to work in the B Unit at Columbia, alongside another up-and-coming director, Joseph H. Lewis. In 1948, he earned much respect for his sensitive handling of actress Susan Peters in the Gothic thriller Sign of the Ram. Peters was reappearing for the first time before the cameras after a tragic accident that had left her paralyzed and permanently confined to a wheelchair. Sturges would eventually earn a reputation as an expert at action movies, but he also had a deft touch with actors, both seasoned vets like Tracy and younger actors just coming into their own, like James Arness, who confessed to Sturges that he was intimidated in his scenes with Tracy. He specifically asked the director for advice on playing the scene in which Tracy interrogates him. Sturges told Arness to forget he was acting, simply watch and listen. They got the scene in one take, after which Tracy pulled aside Sturges and said, "Hey, this kid could turn out to be okay. He really watches and listens." I especially appreciate a comment Sturges made later in his career about how he chose projects. "Before beginning any film," he said, "you should always ask the question that was once on all the gas rationing stickers during the war. Is this trip really necessary?" Well, some of the necessary films Sturges directed included Last Train from Gun Hill, The Magnificent Seven, and The Great Escape. Now, one of the favors Sturges granted to Spencer Tracy for this film was casting Pat O'Brien in the role of Detective Ricks. Tracy and O'Brien had been pals since dinosaurs walked the earth, or at least since the beginning of the 20th century, when they grew up in the same Irish neighborhood in Milwaukee. They began their acting careers in the same school play at the age of 9, and both of them played in the same high school band. Both were assigned to the same naval training station in World War I. After the war, both went to college in Wisconsin, then went to New York together to begin their careers in earnest on Broadway. They soon traveled west together to try their luck in Hollywood, and both of them succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. Yet, believe it or not, this movie, The People Against O'Hara, was the first time they ever appeared together in a film.
Hello. Hello, Rick.
Hello, Jim. Jim, this is Lou Barra.
This is a privilege, Mr. Catane.
Mr. Barra.
Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
Now, was Tracy drunk during filming? Well, that depended on who you asked. Actor William Campbell, who played the rat-fink Frank Korvac, said he never saw it, that Tracy was a model of professionalism in their scenes together. But Diana Lynn recalled that Tracy could never remember his lines exactly, leading to her having lots of missed cues. She said Tracy would often mumble his lines, and if he was in the ballpark, Sturges would yell, "Print it." Richard Anderson remembered Sturges being considerate of Tracy when he'd come in hungover, and he'd adjust on the fly to give his star time to regroup. Sturges also made a decision to cut from the script a soliloquy Tracy delivers as he's dying, not because Tracy couldn't do it, but because he felt the scene felt obligatory and melodramatic. The moment to go out on, clearly, is the tearing up of Curtain's check. Well, that'll wrap things up for this week, but as always, you can keep up the conversation about this film and all things noir on our Facebook page and Twitter feed. And be sure to join me back here next week when I'll be presenting a film that combines two of my major influences, newspapers, and comic books. While the City Sleeps is one of the last Hollywood films of legendary director Fritz Lang, and it features a star-studded cast led by Dana Andrews, Ida Lupino, George Sanders, and Vincent Price. You don't want to miss it. Until then, I'll be at the bar, hoisting one, and only one, in honor of the great Spencer Tracy.